Back in 2016, after Justice Scalia died, President Obama named federal Judge Merrick Garland as his new nominee to the court. And as you well know, you were part of the Senate then. Senate Republicans blocked the choice of Garland. Here's what you said at that time.
In a few short months, we will have a new president and new senators who can consider the next justice with the full faith of the American people. Why would we cut off the national debate about this next justice? Why would we squelch the voice of the people? Why would we deny the voters a chance to weigh in on the makeup of the Supreme Court?
Now, Garland was nominated 9 months before the election. And you were saying then, 9 months before the election, it was wrong to deny voters a chance to weigh in. So if it was wrong then, 9 months before the election, why is it okay now, 6 weeks before the election?
So, Chris, in 2014, the American people elected a Republican majority of the Senate to put the brakes on President Obama's judicial nominations. In 2018, we had a referendum on this question. Just a month before the 2018 midterms, we had the vote on Justice Kavanaugh. There could not have been a clearer mandate because the American people didn't just re-elect Republicans, they expanded our majority. They defeated 4 Democratic senators who voted against Justice Kavanaugh. They re-elected the 1 Democratic senator who did vote for Justice Kavanaugh. So we have a clear mandate to perform our constitutional duty. That's what the Senate majority will do now. That's what we did back in 2016 as well.
You really don't think there is any hypocrisy at all in saying we need to give voters, because, I mean, you can parse the 2014 election, the 2018 election any way you want, but you stated a pretty firm principle in 2016 about Merrick Garland. It's wrong to deny voters a chance to weigh in. You don't see any hypocrisy between that position then and this position now?
Chris, the Senate majority is performing our constitutional duty and fulfilling the mandate that the voters gave us in 2016 and especially in 2018.
With the verbal gymnastics these Republican senators are performing to justify their blatant hypocrisy, we could send another U.S. team to the Olympics. This is Tom Cotton cooking up just one of a slew of excuses put forward by the right as to why they're supportive of Trump putting forward a Supreme Court nominee with just 6 weeks to go until the election, and yet they weren't supportive of Obama putting forward a nominee with 9 months until the election. But hey, these are totally legitimate reasons and have nothing to do with Republicans' blatant desperation to entrench their own power. Here, Tom Cotton is explaining that this situation is much different because, you see, in 2014, 6 years ago, Republicans picked up Senate seats, and in 2018, they again took Senate seats with a favorable map, and so for that reason, even though Tom Cotton expressly came out against filling Supreme Court seats in an election year, this situation is totally unique. Oh, and also, when Obama tried to nominate a justice, that year started off on a Friday, whereas this year started off on a Wednesday, and you can't possibly nominate someone to the bench in a year that starts on a Friday, but as we all know, Wednesdays are totally okay. Oh, I'm sorry, does my completely arbitrary justification that I just made up on the fly sound ridiculous? The fact is that they can parse words and cook up excuses about what random conditions need to be fulfilled to push forward a nominee, but the point here is that their hypocrisy could not be more apparent. Their rule, which wasn't even a real rule but simply an excuse to obstruct a Democratic president, was that SCOTUS nominees would not be considered in an election year, that it should be left up to the American people to decide. And now, 4 years later, we're in that exact scenario, and suddenly that rule doesn't apply anymore. There is no way to disguise it because it could not be more obvious. Republicans aren't led by principle, they're not led by integrity, they're not led by conscience, they're led by an insatiable and shameless desire to cling on to power by whatever means necessary. With that said, there is a remedy, and I have no qualms about encouraging Democrats, if and when they take power, to expand the court. If Republicans are going to destroy our democratic institutions by outright refusing to allow Democrats to have an equal say in our democracy, then we need to take steps to rectify that. And bear in mind, this wouldn't be some power grab, it would simply be rectifying a problem that was created by Republicans. If Republicans simply followed their own rule and waited until after the election to consider a Supreme Court nominee, then no one would even be talking about expanding the courts. But because their greed knows no bounds, now we're talking about remedying the situation, and the way to do that is to add seats to the Supreme Court. And if Republicans want to complain, I'm sure we have plenty of footage we can find of certain Republican senators gleefully disregarding norms once it became politically convenient. And before they complain that it's some illegal power grab, it's not. Nowhere in the US Constitution does it say that the Supreme Court has 9 seats. That power was left to Congress, and in fact, the number of justices has changed 7 times. It's gone anywhere from 6 to 10 justices over the last couple hundred years. 9 is arbitrary. We keep it because it's a norm. So Republicans should spare us the sanctimony for breaking a norm when they are literally in the process of breaking norms themselves. The point is that while Republicans are using their undemocratic tactics, they're only firing up Democrats to fight even more. So when Republicans inevitably whine about what's to come, they'll only have themselves to blame. While you're here, please subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deeper dive into the week's biggest stories and interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, Eric Swalwell, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.